यशराज,
यस सर।
अभी तक आपने टॉपिक नहीं फाइनलाइज किया मेरे से? Why do I have to tell you each of you separately? कितनी बार reminders? I mean, come on. What is the topic that you are doing your project on? You don't know, probably. कब बताओगे मुझे अपना टॉपिक, यशराज?
नून तक सर मैं आपको भेज दूंगा।
हाँ, बट प्लीज बार बार ये हर बार अलग से नहीं बोलना चाहिए, स्पेशली क्योंकि कितने रिमाइंडर्स जो लोग खुद से आप लोग लिखो तो ठीक है, इवन इफ यू आर स्लाइटली लेट, बट मैं अगर ऐसे पिन पॉइंट करके बोलने लगूं तब तो कोई लिमिट नहीं। आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड, इट गेट्स टायरिंग ना, बिकॉज it's not just, I mean, all the three batches, first year, second year, third year, ek ko, they are used to following deadlines now. I know you are getting used to it in your second semester, but please take it seriously. We will be strictly monitoring the quality that you will be writing this time. So copy paste will not be accepted. वो accept ही नहीं होगा project इस बार तो, बिल्कुल भी नहीं. You know the rules and the guidelines. Any problem you ask me. So that's why I'm saying start working on it now. Your synopsis first. Because once you are done with the synopsis, you will already feel quite confident of the way you have to shape up and complete your project thereafter. Fine. So when we are talking about this, this topic on end of the Cold War, which is mainly marked by collapse of Soviet Union and the fall of communism. So the period that occurred immediately after the Second World War was when we entered a Cold War. Cold War, as you all have an idea about, was a war that perpetuated for a large or a long span of time, right? From 1945 to around 1990. It was mainly a war between the two blocks, capitalist bloc led by United States of America on one side versus the communist bloc led by USSR on another side. Capitalism versus communism. Because Russia, which was USSR that time, the full form of which is Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, was a competitor to the United States of America. Eventually it failed. It disintegrated, it collapsed, and that's why you had a lot of, as we call, I'm going to write these things on the chat here, the satellite countries, right? First of all, I'm going to write the full form of Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. That's the full form of USSR. Okay, these are basic things you have to know as an effect of Cold War. And then once it disintegrated and collapsed, it resulted in the emergence of a range of satellite countries: Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan. There were 13 of them that already marked the failure of communist ideology and USSR. And what came out as the rest of it was what we call in the present day Russia. Okay, so to understand and summarize this later half of the international relations, especially after Second World War, we can club them as 4 causes, 4 figures, 4 details, 4 effects. We are going to see what it is. Okay, so it's in an interesting way to see what international politics was, right? because now we are putting in everything in the framework of international relations and international politics. Since each of you are discussing and finalizing your project topic with me, you have already done it, most of you, except three of you. Just see the way I rephrase all the titles. Implications for international relations, impact upon international politics, effect on global politics, so that we are able to relate to each of these incidents that are happening around in various countries at various times in history. I mean, we have to, because that's how we draw up an analysis of it. International relations is quite about analysis, after all. Hence, most of your projects are also titled like that. Since it's quite fresh, your experience of finalizing of your topic, that's why I'm bringing it up at the moment. This slide is already shared with you. This is the last of the slides that I shared. I will share the next set of the material soon. Okay, so we are already talking about the end of the Cold War, causes, figures, details, effects. Okay, how do we understand that? And how the end of the, and of course, at the end of the Second World War is the emergence and birth of a very important international organization called the United Nations Organization, that was born on 24th of October 1945. Right. So there are many other aspects. We will do that in detail when we move on to Unit 3. From next class, I will start Unit 3. Material for that I will already circulate with you beforehand, probably by today or definitely by tomorrow. Because usually we have class Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. So that by the time we start and do Unit 3, you are already familiar with what all are we going to do in Unit 3. United Nations, international peace and security, international political economy. Just go through, like now, because of deciding and finalizing your project topic, probably gave you a chance to at least look into what all topics are there in your syllabus, right? So when we are talking about all these factors that resulted in the end of the Cold War, Soviet Union collapse, communism fall, the reasons for it, massive spending. Soviets spent tons and tons of money fighting to support the communist cause and put down revolts in places like Hungary and Afghanistan. Enormous amounts of money was spent on the arms and space races as the USSR worked to outdo the USA in both areas. This is a very interesting way, together with the picture, with the brief, simple, clear, and concise explanation to understand what had exactly happened. Okay. Also, from English point of view, is very important. What had exactly happened, why it happened. You know that the moment we are indulging or involving ourselves in any kind of war, we are always speaking of a lot of financial expenditure, exhaustion of finances, etc. Right? And that's what we refer to here as the massive spending. Economic recession beginning in 1986. The Soviet Union began significantly cutting funding to its satellite states. That's the word I have used in the beginning of the class. Satellite countries. The move is usually discussed as the beginning of the end of the Soviet Union, which was experiencing a recession. It's an economic term. You should be familiar with these terms by now. Economic recession, when the economy is already going down, as you can see from the picture here. Similar to the Great Depression that United States had felt in the 1930s. Now, what is glasnost? You all have studied in school, I guess, when you were doing history in school. I don't know how well you did it, if you remember. These were the terms coined by, let's see what it is. Soviet Union struggled economically through the 1980s. Its leader, Mikhail Gorbachev, introduced bold concepts. One is glasnost, that's a word in Russian, and the other is perestroika. Glasnost means openness. It was a call for greater transparency in the Soviet government, allowing more freedom of speech and freedom of the press. They had to revive the economy. That's why they had to coin and come up with token symbolic concepts that could change the course of the way in which the economy could move. And that's why it had to be an open economy, openness in the economy. Glasnost, it's in Russian, the word. Okay. Last 4 or 5 lines are very important here. Call for a greater transparency, allowing for more freedom of speech and freedom of the press. That's how you are trying to, let's see what is also perestroika. So it affects the nature in which your government is acting upon its citizens. This is how we define it in simple terms in political science as well, right? As we know, Soviet Union struggle. So Gorbachev coined these two concepts. Perestroika, which is a Russian for restructuring, was a movement to reform the Soviet Union and allow for private ownership of some businesses. Within a few years, many of the countries under Soviet control broke away or underwent revolution. Hence, the Soviet Union was completely dissolved by 1991, which marked the failure of it existing as an important communist power bloc during the Cold War. Bloc as in BLOC, not BLOCK. We also call it the capitalist bloc versus the communist bloc, right? Reform, restructuring, reshaping, hence this word. And the other one is openness, transparency. The nature of the words and the terminology is a bit different between the two, if you notice, right? The 4 figures, causes, figures, as you know, all 4 of them, which are marking. One of them is definitely Gorbachev, leader of the Soviet Union from 1985 to 91. Now, these are important things, which all you have to know. You must know the names of the leaders. You must know the names of their countries. You must know the years in which they reigned, because these are very basic things as IR students. In terms of the Cold War, he was known for beginning a period of liberalization in USSR. He promoted the policies, as we just explained, glasnost and perestroika, which were seen as steps towards democracy and capitalism, moving away from staunch or extreme form of following policy of communism. You are moving away from that because over a period of time you have realized that communism really did not cater to you, did not really help you. So you have to open up, you have to restructure, and hence it's a step towards democracy as well as capitalism. Ronald Reagan, very important president of United States from 81 to 89. Terms of the Cold War, he was known for working with Gorbachev to improve the relations, Cold War relations, gave a famous speech in West Berlin in 1987 calling for the wall to come down. He is also credited with helping to bring an era to the Cold War. I mean, these are important leaders, world leaders of that time that shaped the international politics when we are talking about shaping and reshaping of international relations as well as international politics. Right. George H.W. Bush was Reagan's vice president in 1980s and became president in 1990. Was the president who continued improving relations with the Soviets as they made a transition or transitioned to the Russian Federation in 1991. Okay. It was his son who later on became the president of the United States of America. That's the father. Fine. So when we are speaking, I think someone is having a technical problem. We'll come to the fourth. Wait. Mm, uh, we will uh, we will speak of the fourth leader, but then we are also talking about the minute details, like 70. In the midst of World War I, Russia's long-standing monarchy was overthrown, and communism was established. That was the Bolshevik Revolution that we call. Also, the Russian Revolution of 1917 that established communism, overthrowing that monarchy under Nicholas Tsar, if you remember the name that we did, Tsar, Nicholas Tsar. Since that year, Soviet Union, or the full form that I shared with you, it's the same thing here, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, lasted almost 75 years before coming apart in the 1990s. And now comes the fourth leader, the fourth figure, Boris Yeltsin. As the Soviet Union collapsed and broke apart, so you see two of them are from the United States among the four figures, and two are from USSR, because these two were the leading countries of the world at that point of time. Yeltsin became the first popularly elected president of the new country. His election marked the beginning of a new era in Russian history, the Russian Federation, in 1991. Then Reagan's Berlin speech in 1987, he visited West Berlin and gave a famous speech about the failure of communism. He asked Gorbachev would open the gate. Then he also demanded, because they had a strong claim that your ideology has failed, you have collapsed, you have disintegrated. It's like United States of America talking to USSR, right? So better pull down this wall, better, because you know the Berlin Wall, Berlin itself was divided into the two. Entire Germany was divided into the two. Germany was at the receiving end. It had failed. It lost in the Second World War, basically. And that's why it was all divided between the two camps and the two blocks, right? Tear down this wall, as in the famous speech Gorbachev mentioned. And that's why that marked the fall of the Berlin Wall, a very, very important incident that marks the end of the Cold War. In November 1989, the wall came down. Many East German citizens, you have to look at the map of Germany with Berlin and how the wall divided. Berlin Wall crumbles, sorry. The beginning of the end of communism, as we call in English. Many East German citizens were already escaping the communist world by going to Austria through Hungary, where the border fences were coming down. Thousands of East Berliners soon overwhelmed the guards and crossed into West Berlin. The wall came down for good weeks later. Okay. And the fourth incident was a revolution of 1989. The Eastern Bloc was the name given to Eastern European countries that answered to the Soviet Union. All six of them fell in the fall of 1989. East Germany, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, and Bulgaria all had overthrew their communist governments. Both are correct, overthrew or overthrown, relatively peacefully, while the country of Romania's revolution was more violent, means it found more resistance when the attempt was being made to overthrow the communist government, right? Let me try to just conclude this so that I can have some time for discussion and if you want to ask anything. USSR dissolves. Also, you can see from the pictures here the effects of it. what used to be the Soviet Union eventually split into 15 separate nations. I was misled. I had told you 13, but probably they were 15. That included Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Estonia, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, of course, Russia as one of them, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Moldova, Latvia, Lithuania, and I think there was also Estonia. They have not mentioned India. There are three countries there: Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. That marks the dissolution, the dissolving. Eastern Bloc abandons communism. Abandoned, they gave up its ideology via the revolutions. Romanian revolutionaries literally cut the hammer and sickle symbol out of the flag, as if to cut the communism out of Romania. Other communist nations also left communism in the years to come. Example, Yugoslavia as well as Albania. So communist was already going out of the world politics as an ideology, right? Democracy in Russia. Now, what was that? For the first time, the nation became a democracy. For centuries, Russia was ruled by czars, the Tsar dynasty, CZAR, as I mentioned here on the chat. After the 1917 revolution, Soviet Union was a communist superpower. But after 1991, Russia rejoined the world communist as a democracy. That was the change. It had come about. Okay. So, as a matter of which only 5 communist nations remained. Technically, no nation is purely communist, since Karl Marx described communism as a classless, stateless society. But there are 5 who claim to be some form of leftist governments, the socialist and the communist, that include Laos, Cuba, China, Vietnam, and North Korea. And you still see the strong effect of communism as an ideology and the effect of communist governments in these countries, right? That's one. Hence, this is how we are able to conclude what the fall of communism is. How did the Cold War end? How did the USSR collapse or dissolve? Okay, very briefly mentioned, but telling you the main things, the most important things, explaining them to you. Please ask me if there is any doubt, any query, anything you did not understand, anything that you want me to repeat. Anything that triggers you, anything that you have any doubt? No? Did you understand everything then? All of you here who are present in the class, please. Some of you probably got logged out, then I had to readmit you in, but then did you understand what all had happened? How did the Cold War end?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Hassan.
Sir, we are seeing that in most wars, we are seeing that we are seeing USA trying to intervene. Is USA supposed to is it supposed to enter every war that is there? So is it the only country
just a second. People are talking behind you. So can you just talk outside the room or something, because I can hear them and your voice is getting crushed. I got your point, but can you repeat and say it outside, maybe? Yes, Hassan, your point was regarding USA, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so what about it?
Why is USA entering every war, trying to resolve every war in the world? Because we are seeing it in most wars, World War I, World War II, and then the Cold War. Almost every conflict that enters, that is part, the first country they went to is the USA.
I get your question. The point is, gradually US was really getting strong financially and in a military sense. So in order to prove its power and position in global level, it made a strong effort to make itself heard. You know, like we say, make yourself heard, please. Because it thought that these are good chances where they can prove and show to the world how powerful they are. Because after the Cold War, US was literally occupying the entire world scenario, which we call hegemony, actually. So that's one, and that's why even all the successive presidents in the United States have identified that position that United States may hold on to, so as to prove that yes, they are really a hegemon. They have that hegemony, they have the hegemonic status. And you know by now what the meaning, or what is it, does it mean when we say anything as hegemon or exercising hegemony? All power by yourselves. You are the superpower and the only superpower, and that's why you have that sole dominance and exclusive right to dominance over everyone. Right? This is what we call as hegemony. Did you get my point, Hassan? If I did.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm getting.
Okay, great, great.
Sir, I have another question.
Yes, please.
So we are saying that in World War II, USA at first was not part of the war. But then when Japan attacked it, then it entered the war. And it's still the same year that is World War II ended. So I'm getting a little bit confused with those two concepts.
You are confused about the end of Second World War.
Exactly.
See, Second World War, there were a number of factors that resulted in its end. There were allies versus the Axis powers, and allies were United States, UK, which is Great Britain, France, and the Axis powers were Germany, Italy, Japan, and then Germany found itself too difficult or hard to sustain because see, Russia or USSR, let's say, it was quite conscious that let's just remove the possibility of Germany as a superpower. So it accordingly acted like that, because Second World War was fought at a large level that really exhausted all the resources of Germany at a massive level. In Second World War, there were many wars, there were many revolutions, there were many climatic conditions. The cold weather also acted against Germany. So these were a number of factors, and USSR was quite conscious that when Germany is out of the question, the main problem that we are going to have is with that of United States of America. That's why over a period of time, the more resistance, the more protest, the more hatred United States got, the more popular it became. You know, sometimes when you hate something more and more, it still gets more popular. There is still an imagination or a mindset in the minds of people which gives you that status that yes, you are the best, you are the most powerful. We might still make jokes about it, but let's accept that as a fact. So this was what you call a kind of proactive and aggressive agenda that United States had followed, where it took the opportunity of proving its superpower status. Did you get my answer? Did you get my point to your comment, Hassan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, did you
Sir,
get
and then the other thing,
did you get a sense of something? Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Yes, I got it. And then the other thing, we are trying to see that right now, there are conflicts between Ukraine and Russia. We are seeing that Russia is trying to intervene in the issues of Azerbaijan and Armenia. We are saying that Russia is like trying to combine all the other USSR countries that had departed from it and trying to pull it back. Is Russia trying to bring back the USSR? Because we are seeing it has also rebuilt back its army base in Antarctica.
Yes, if I understood your question correctly, the position of Russia is such that Russia had it in mind that let's remove other possibility of any other country trying to occupy a powerful position. United States we can handle at a later stage. And that's why even Russia failed in their strategy. They had a wrong, misled assumption where they thought that it's United States itself that they may be able to defeat or take over, and that can only become their rival. That's one thing, but that's where they were misled. That was badly calculated, wrong calculation, and that's what led to or started leading to their downfall. I mean, they could have still applied or taken another strategy of working together with the US and then kicking them out. So that's why you have this entire aspect of what we call in international relations the idea of diplomacy. You know what it means when we say a diplomat, a diplomacy, a person who is in charge or responsible for your own country or anything in a foreign country. Even when you go to international world councils that include United Nations or European Union, there is always a representative from the Indian government also present there. So they are like a permanent staff station in that country. It's like that. So Russia was still trying its best to save itself, but then it could not. It suffered a massive defeat. It suffered a massive defeat, not only in global level, but also in internal level. The new policies were there, but then later we will see also what the problems were, because eventually that's what led to the failure of communism and disintegration and dissolution of USSR. Okay, there were many mistakes that they did. Of course, one of them was following communism in a certain way, because that's where one can always have a debate if communism is better or capitalism is better. Capitalists would always say that we are very clear about what we are going to pursue, which is high profit, money, etc. For the other hand, on the other hand, communists are not of the view. Okay, they are more about, you know, wait and then let's grab the power. So that's why you have all kinds of communists. Did I answer your query? Maybe a bit in a very long way. I did that, Hassan.
Yes, I answered it to a certain extent, though it was not straight to the point, but at least I got something that I wanted.
Okay, great.
And I don't know whether I still have time because I have so many other questions.
Yes, yes.
Right
I
now-
want to give others also a chance to ask something, because no one is asking.
Okay, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I can reserve my question.
Someone else wants to ask something or clarify or clear a doubt or a query? Did you understand everything that we did today in class? Understanding the course of international politics and relations? Did you get a sense of the two power blocks that had emerged and how one failed and the other was victorious? You have to understand these basic things, because that's what marked how did the Cold War start, what happened during the war, and now also what we can see as an effect of the Cold War. Okay, because before this pandemic, there were a lot of changes in geopolitics as well, which probably an expert can suggest to us. Please switch on your videos for attendance today. It's mandatory. Gradually, I will start with the videos now. Today, I'm asking you to switch it on just for attendance. But keep in mind, from next time, you have to keep the video on during the class as well. Sir is very strict about it. Also, guidelines have been issued to us. So today for attendance, only if I see you, will I call out your name. Okay. We will do a recap of this tomorrow or in the next class before we begin Unit 3, if you still have a doubt till then. I will wait for anyone to see. If there is someone who has switched on, okay, now I can see people. It's good to see you actually, because of this rule and regulation, whatever. Hi, Monica. Hi, all of you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. So let me just take a roll call accordingly. Okay, unmute your mic as in when I call out your name. Hassan. Hassan, you are busy talking. Yes. Attendance, please. Okay. Monica,
Present, sir.
how are you now? Are you fine?
Yes, sir, I'm better, sir.
Okay. Okay, yeah, you finalized your topic with me. That's fine. Zunaid. हाँ
प्रेजेंट सर।
जुनैद, आज आपको अभी टॉपिक फाइनल करना है, ऑलरेडी लेट हो गए हो है ना, आपने मुझे व्हाट्सएप नहीं किया। एक बार सिलेबस देखो और मुझे बताओ, आपको जो माइंड में हो वो मुझे लिख दो। आई एम रीफ्रेजिंग एवरीवन्स टाइटल। ऐसा नहीं है कि आई एम आस्किंग फॉर समथिंग, उसमें मुश्किल से आपको 2-3 मिनट्स लगेंगे। फाइन जुनैद,
श्योर सर।
आई विल बी वेटिंग टू रिसीव योर व्हाट्सएप। हेनरी।
बाय। यस सर।
हाय, या ओके। देन आयुष।
Present, sir.
पिंकी।
Present, sir.
अमरजीत।
प्रेजेंट सर।
विवेक। हाँ, डोंट वरी, माइक में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है आपके। इट्स फाइन, आई अंडरस्टैंड दैट, दैट्स व्हाई मैंने वीडियो ऑन करवाया। बट अपना माइक ठीक कर लो विवेक, ये तो अभी चलेगा सब ऑनलाइन। हमफ्रे।
आई एम प्रेजेंट सर।
हमवी लिट बॉय। हमी लिट बॉय। विशाल।
यस सर।
Present, sir.
यज्ञेश।
प्रेजेंट सर।
जितेंद्र।
प्रेजेंट सर।
आइजैक। Oh,
प्रेजेंट सर।
oh, there you are. Hi,
Sir.
how are you?
फाइन, थैंक यू सर।
Yatri. Unmute your mic, Yatri and Varda. I could see your video. I can't hear you. Anthony.
Present.
Disha.
Present, sir.
Yatri Varda, I couldn't hear. Yashraj, I can't see you. Are you there? Hello. Yashraj, आप present हो?
हाँ सर,
Oh, there you are. Hi, how are you?
फाइन सर।
Yak. How is Yak? I don't see you. Okay, there you are. Neha. Miss Neha, please respond. No response. हाँ, आई थिंक कुछ टेक्निकल ग्लिच है यात्री वर्दा आपके में। आपका वीडियो ऑन था।
हाँ, sir. On the way had network issues, sir.
ठीक है, तो ऑल ऑफ यू प्लीज स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन योर सिनॉप्सिस फ्रॉम नाउ। ओके, हाय बोथ ऑफ यू। यस, आई सॉ यू, but please work on your synopsis. You can do whatever you want, you can relax, you can, but then don't compromise on these, because otherwise your learning process will be affected. I know we are dependent upon online, but your learning process, and any problem, please ask me. Find your own material, write down things. Don't copy paste everything, even if it is synopsis, क्योंकि फिर Later on, you will have problem in your project draft. Okay. And since it is a topic you have chosen, I mean, it's your interesting topic. I have not allocated topics to you. That's why I usually give choice to the student to select his or her topic, right? And then I rephrase the title. Anyway, probably you will be, I think in few minutes, get ready for your next class. It's very nice to see all of you in a way. Okay, take care. As you can see, I'm in my office. Stay in touch with me. Stay safe. Have a nice rest of the day. And yes, please let me know for any concern or any problem. Bye, all of you. Take care.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Take care, sir.
Thank you.